Thank you everyone for coming to Understanding Strata in Australia. My name is Iris. This is what we'll be talking about today, how strata living is different in Australia, strata misconceptions versus the truth, helping Asian property owners, breaking the language and cultural barriers together, get involved with your committee to make a difference, answering common questions I receive from customers. Yes, I'm originally from Hong Kong and I've been working for Dynamic Property Services for the past 6 years, first as an assistant and now as a strata manager with a portfolio of buildings in strata, community and neighbourhood associations and company title type buildings. I'm fluent in Cantonese and Mandarin and have been providing services to our broad client base, including our Chinese-speaking clients, navigating them through typical problems experienced by property owners and committee members. Understanding strata rules and processes can be difficult for all owners, and if you are coming from a different cultural background, migrants or overseas investors, because of language barriers, it may even be more difficult. This webinar aims to share with you how I and the PICO group can help you when it comes to understanding strata property rules and matters in your language. Having lived in Hong Kong and Sydney, the system and arrangement for apartment living in Hong Kong and strata in Sydney is a little different. It's even more different from the system many would experience in China. First of all, the size. In Hong Kong, complexes are huge. A typical private housing estate will go up to 5,000 units, and it's likely situated on top of or very close to a mass transit railway. And in Australia, most complexes are smaller. The smallest strata scheme may only have 2 lots. A middle-sized strata scheme will have 20 or so lots. Strata schemes comprising more than 100 lots was less common in Australia, but with the property boom, these type of developments become more and more common in New South Wales. Depending on the property you have brought in, there may also be different tiers of management like community association, precinct association, and building management committee, BMCs. As for on-site support, in Hong Kong, owners contribute for strata services but don't necessarily get involved. To look after a complex of the size, most properties would have a dedicated security guard for your building, a building manager or a caretaker for the stage, and most likely an on-site property management office to manage the many buildings. And here in Australia, it's different. Strata managers work from an office or at home due to COVID. They don't conduct inspections on your property and that tends to be the building manager or the property manager or real estate agent's responsibility if you're leasing your unit to a tenant. For lot and common property, when you buy into a property, you buy into a lot. While each owner is responsible for their own property, shared community living spaces, such as common hallway, stairs, lifts, gym, or the pool area is known as the common property, and they are managed by owners through the Strata Committee. The Strata Committee is elected and appointed at each annual general meeting and is responsible for overseeing the maintenance, upkeep, and administration of the building on delegated authority by the owner's corporation to make decisions in managing the property on their behalf. This ensures decisions on issues around the property can be made in a timely fashion. However, major decisions as stipulated by the Act would be brought back to the owner's corporation for approval and resolution at a general meeting by all the owners. Rules, regulations, and bylaws. In New South Wales, we have Strata Schemes Management Act. Then each building would have their own bylaws, which governs the owner's corporate living. and they are as enforceable as state and national laws. When you buy into a strata property, as part of your sales contract, you would receive a copy of a bylaws. If you do not have a copy, feel free to ask your strata manager for a copy. To help Owners Corporation and the strata committee, owners will often choose to appoint a strata managing agent, such as Dynamic Property Services. When working with customers with an Asian background, I've noticed there's several misconceptions about strata management. Below are some examples. Misconception 1. Strata managers are responsible for inspecting the property, making decisions around repairs, maintenance, and being available on site to help owners. As mentioned previously, there is a segregation of responsibility between your strata manager, building manager, and leasing agent. Your strata manager acts on delegated authority under the agency agreement between the strata managing agent and your owner's corporation. While we attend meetings on site for a fee, we generally do not go on site to check on the buildings, supervise repairs and maintenance, or follow the cleaners or gardeners around the complex. However, we have been doing quarterly walk-ups and catch-ups with some of our committee members, as we find this will cut down a lot of email traffic and works very well with larger complexes. This is how we go above and beyond for written roles to achieve the best interest of the Owners Corporation here in Dynamic Property Services. If you need someone who can be on site, your Owners Corporation will need to hire a building manager. This is a separate role in New South Wales, and it can be a part-time role. For example, if you have a major remedial works and would like someone to supervise the works, a part-time building manager or a project manager would be very helpful. The Pico Group also has a building management arm to assist you in this way. If you do not have a building manager, your strata manager will rely on you as the owner or your residents to report on any repairs and maintenance needs. The strata manager will do a desktop analysis first to confirm if it's a lot or owner's corporation repair. Then your strata manager will seek approval from the strata committee and find the right contractor to fix or quote on the issues. Unless the repairs are emergency works like a burst pipe, a gas leak, or it constitutes a work health and safety issue, all repairs request will go through this approval procedure. Misconception 2. Contributions, known as levies, cover all repairs, maintenance, and insurance, even inside your unit. The Owners Corporation is only responsible for the common property. A general rule we use is a tip and shake test. If your unit is tipped upside down and you shake it, everything that stays, for example, your windows, your front door, your balcony doors, your ceiling, your concrete slab, and your waterproofing would be common property. Everything else, like your own property and your floorboards, those would be the owner's responsibility or an owner's content insurance. Your levy contributions are decided and voted on at each AGM by owners. The amount is set by Owners Corporation based on the annual budget and is based on a Capital Works Fund report prepared by a building surveyor. Levies are then collected from the owners for the owners and kept in a trust account, and it goes into your administrative fund, which is your building's day-to-day repairs and maintenance, and Capital Works Fund for your upgrades or replacement to the common property. Only a small portion goes to paying your strata management fee, which is only one of the many line items to maintain your property or investment. Misconception 3. I can do whatever I want within my apartment. This includes renovation, installation of air conditioning, and bringing your pet into the apartment. While Owners Corporation cannot unreasonably deny your request, an application will have to be made to the Owners Corporation and be approved by the Owners Corporation or strata manager. or the Strata Committee. Some of these, for example, your bathroom renovation, which would disturb the waterproofing layout, which is a common property, or air conditioning installation are required under the Strata Schemes Management Act, and some of these are required by your specific strata plan under the registered bylaws. We also often run into breaches with drying laundry on the balcony or smoking. Some owners may like to dry your laundry or smoke on the balcony, but there is usually a bylaw which does not allow the drying of laundry or to disturb the peaceful enjoyment of other residents in the strata building. We often answer questions about these issues, clarifying misconceptions for Asian property owners in buildings managed by our company. We are happy to go out of our way to help you enjoy your community living. We understand the confusion around these matters, so feel free to contact your strata manager to inquire. As you become more strata literate, the less questions and issues you'll run into later. Coming from an Asian background, I have a personal understanding of how to make Asian customers feel more comfortable with the processes and involvement in committees. I'm usually the designated person to speak to in our office. However, most of the time I find owners have no issues in speaking in English, but rather appreciate a familiar face or voice on the other side of the phone and a native language to fall back onto if issues become too complicated to express in their second language. We previously ran AGMs in both English and Cantonese. Even if the meeting was not held in both languages, I have been a frequent fixture on registration desk to answer any questions on levy arrears or any inquiries on the meeting. We have also been translating essential correspondences into Chinese. This has been very helpful in providing information and coordination of inspections and works. Don't be afraid to ask for a Chinese colleague when you contact our office. We would be glad to provide assistance in your native language. Language and cultural barriers often stop Asian owners from getting involved in their property and the committee. It is important to remember that each owner will automatically become members of the Owners Corporation once you buy into a strata property. Every owner, including you, gets to have a say in what happens to your building, and it is every owner's right to participate and take ownership of your property. Some owners only get involved to complain about things they don't like. In my opinion, this is not a good approach, or it might be too late. We have a saying, prevention is better than cure. We encourage all owners we work with to get involved as soon as they can and share their thoughts and ideas in meetings. Your contribution can make a difference, and by being involved, you can help increase your property's value. For example, we once had a building with a major waste management issue. Bulk rubbish was left in the common bin room, especially during COVID, where everyone is ordering in packages and large furniture, mostly from moving in and out. These rubbish were being dumped on the nature strip in front of the building. Residents sent us both photos of the incidents, and we were able to track down the responsible units and have these items discarded responsibly. A translated notice with reminders and procedures on how to book in a free council pickup helped us to establish the procedure and resolved the issue. We also had an issue in gaining access for a defects claim inspection. A translated notice assisted in providing background to our owners, especially overseas investors, on the importance of this inspection and severity of the liability to owners and themselves and the Owners Corporation. Not only did it help us gain access for the initial inspection, it also helped in subsequent inspections and defects remediation works. For owners whose property is managed by Dynamic Property Services, we will be happy to guide you in getting more involved. We encourage you to get more involved with your committee if you can, and it is important to have a good representation. That means people from all cultural backgrounds. We once had a building which is predominantly owned by Chinese and Indonesian owners. When levy notices are issued, we will provide a reminder to our Strata committee, which has a Mandarin, Cantonese, and Indonesian representative. The representatives will then communicate to all owners in their respective languages and social platforms. When the levies are due, another reminder is provided. An arrears list is also provided to members if levies have unfortunately fall due. The building went from over 50,000 in arrears to all owners accounted for or on payment plans. Whenever owners get involved in our committee, I always make myself available to answer their questions. I'm happy to share my knowledge and guide them through what comes in the meeting rules and similar topics. Most common thing I guide our owners on is these common questions. The first one is fire safety. An owner's corporation is required to have all essential and life safety equipment vested in the common property inspected and certified each year and submit an annual fire safety statement to your local council. The owner's corporation usually engage the services of a certified fire practitioner to assist in the inspection, certification, and where necessary, repair of these assets. It is essential that all owners and residents accommodate these requests each year to ensure the fines of $1,000 per week on an ongoing basis issued by the council for the failure to submit an AFSS by the due date. Failure to provide access may also result in a reinspection, and the cost of reinspection may be passed on to the offending units. This remains true under COVID restrictions, which fire practitioners are classified as authorized workers. Different roles of strata manager and leasing agent. As we have covered previously, your strata manager is someone who you would speak to on common property issues, and your leasing agent would be someone who you would speak to on matters for your individual unit. Strata levies. Your strata levies are generally issued per quarter and at least 1 month before the due date. It is an owner's responsibility to pay on time and advise of any postal or email changes to prevent notices from going missing. Interest on levy arrears are being charged at a legislative rate of 10% per annum and is accrued daily from the due date. Who is responsible for what? What owners are responsible for repairing and maintaining, and what the owner's corporation is responsible for. As a general rule, you are responsible for the things within your apartment that only you can use, and the owner's corporation is responsible for things and areas everyone in the building uses. Who is responsible for the maintenance and repairs changes depending on which area or the item is considered as common property or a private property? Let me provide you with a case. A best flexi hose. A flexi hose are generally under sinks, your kitchen sink, your laundry or bathroom. This hose is within your lot space and only services your lot. The repair and maintenance would be an owner's responsibility. The damage to the carpet or floating floors would also be an owner's content insurance claim. However, damages to the common property or damages to another unit caused by this leak would be an owner's corporation insurance claim. When reporting issues, it is very helpful if you provide photos and also written instructions. This would assist your Strata manager in determining whose responsibility it is to maintain or repair this item, and it could fast track your maintenance requests. To help you with this, the Pika Group has created a fact sheet and has translated it into Chinese. You will receive it via email after this webinar. It also includes a few main points. For example, for buildings registered after 1974, your window locks would be an owner's corporation responsibility. For balconies and lofts before 1974, these would be an owner's responsibility. Utilities, such as your pipes and wiring within your walls, if it only services your own apartment, then this would be an owner's responsibility. If it services more than one apartment, then it will be an owner's corporation's responsibility. If you have any questions for me or our company, you can get in touch with us via email. It is normal to have questions about these things. Not all Strata companies may have someone available to help you in your own language. This is why we have made this available in Cantonese for our owners, and we hope you enjoy this webinar, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.